Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into a profoundly concise 15-word statement that literally holds the key to professional excellence. So often we look for these massive, complex frameworks or sprawling multi-step programs to figure out how to achieve our absolute best. But sometimes the blueprint is just a single sentence. It's like a giant puzzle distilled into a tiny package. Let's deconstruct the anatomy of this philosophy word by word and see exactly how it plays out in the real world.
Right, so here is our foundational truth for today. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. Just 15 words, but man, do not let its brevity fool you. This isn't just some fluffy motivational platitude you'd see on a poster in a break room. It establishes a strict cause and effect relationship. It doesn't offer suggestions. It lays down a definitive, uncompromising rule for human potential. Over the next few slides, we're going to break down its 3 core structural components to understand exactly what it's demanding of us.
Okay, section 1, the only way. We'll start our deconstruction by looking at the uncompromising condition established right at the very beginning of the statement. So what's really fascinating here is that the text doesn't say a good way or a common way or even one of the best ways. It dictates an absolute, the only way. When you use the word only, you're instantly eliminating all other variables, right? You're slamming the door shut on shortcuts or workarounds. It's telling us that no amount of sheer willpower or financial incentive can act as a substitute. To put that into perspective, consider a 30-year career in actuarial science and risk management. It's a field built entirely on math, probability, and rigorous logic. You absolutely cannot fake or brute force your way through 3 decades of that level of complex, exhausting analysis. If you try to bypass the bottleneck of genuine interest, you're going to burn out. For sure. It's a completely binary setup. Either you have the specific prerequisite, or the path to the desired outcome is permanently closed.
Moving on to section 2, doing great work. Let's see how this builds into the ultimate desired outcome of that absolute condition.
Notice the specific target here, great work. Not adequate work, not acceptable work, and definitely not just punching the clock and getting the job done. We're talking about excellence. The source text draws a massive line in the sand between mediocrity and greatness. Think back to our actuarial example. Good work might just be running the standard risk models and clocking out at 5. But great work? That's digging deeper. It's finding the hidden narrative in the data that saves a company millions, or maybe predicting a huge market shift before anyone else even sees it coming. You can absolutely do average work without meeting the strict condition we just discussed. But making that leap from good to great, that requires a completely different standard of engagement.
And how do we unlock that standard? Well, that brings us to section 3, loving what you do.
This brilliantly distills the requirement for excellence down to pure passion. In a professional context, we rarely talk about love, do we? We talk about efficiency, discipline, deliverables, the whole shebang. But true greatness is essentially an emotional byproduct. To spend 30 years thriving in risk management, you actually have to genuinely love the puzzle. You have to find real joy in untangling complex probability matrices and discovering order within total chaos. That deep, intrinsic fascination is the functional fuel. It provides the stamina, the obsessive attention to detail, and the sheer energy required over a long career. Love, in this context, isn't some nice-to-have luxury. It is the absolute baseline requirement. So as you can see, there is a direct, one-way relationship here. Loving what you do is the internal, subjective input. Doing great work is the external, tangible output. And you literally cannot reverse engineer this process. You can't just decide to produce great work and hope the passion eventually catches up. The flow of energy is strictly one-directional. The internal state has to precede the external result, every single time. Which leaves us with a strict 2-step sequence for daily excellence. Step 1, love what you do. Step 2, do great work. Actually, scratch that. It's not really a sequence, it's a rule. Because there is no step 3. If you ever find yourself struggling, say your output in year 15 of your career feels totally stagnant and greatness is eluding you despite your very best efforts, the breakdown isn't your tools. It's not your technique or your environment. A failure at step 2 is simply a symptom of a failure at step 1. To fix the work, you've got to first fix your relationship with the work. So based on the uncompromising 15-word rule we've just deconstructed in this explainer, I'll leave you with this single crucial question. Do you love what you do? Whether you're painting a masterpiece or stepping into year 30 of calculating complex actuarial risk, your answer completely dictates your ceiling. If you cannot honestly answer yes, then true greatness is going to remain out of reach. Take a hard look at your daily pursuits, keep striving to align what you do with what you love,
and never settle for just going through the motions. Thanks for joining me on this explainer.